What's up, guys? I want to talk about um, the upcoming NASCAR Heat 3 announcement. Uh, I don't know exactly when they're going to drop it, but according to Real Radman, he said it would be happening at Charlotte, um, I guess next week. So I'm anticipating it to happen during the All-Star race or during that weekend. So I want to talk about what to expect, or at least what I expect to hear, and what I'm looking for. Uh, I was gonna do a video talking about disco music. In case you guys haven't figured it out, I'm a big fan of disco music. I love all kinds of music. Actually, I'm sort of an audiophile, and I've always wanted to do a video talking about disco music. More because of the history and how and there's things that happen that I want to talk about, and I think a lot of the younger generation really doesn't have any idea about that genre of music, and I think it deserves to be talked about a little bit. uh, so I've always wanted to do a video on that, but I'm going to put that off for a while. So I'm going to talk about NASCAR Heat 3 and what to expect. So I decided to do that now. Um, so hopefully next weekend we'll be getting news, right? So what am I expecting to hear? Obviously, I don't believe we're going to get a ton of information, right? Or at least I don't think they're going to get into really big detail. But I do expect to hear some of the most basic things to look, forward to. So when they announce the game, whatever it is that they've been most proud of as far as what they're working on for this particular game, that's what I do expect them to at least throw out there, right? Like last year, they didn't waste time. We knew right off the bat, oh, they're adding the other two series, which almost everybody's been clamoring for, and I wanted it too, but they didn't wait. Like they let you know right off the bat. The other two series, they're gonna be in the game, and we're adding tracks, so we knew right off the bat that was a big deal. So in this year, I'm really hoping that we get some more information as far as how they plan to flesh this career mode out, which is what I'm hoping they're going to do. I'd love to hear that, Paint Booth is coming back and it's going to be better than ever. So these are some of the things I would like to hear. If they don't mention those things at all, I'm going to be worried. So I don't want to put too much emphasis on the first announcement because, I don't want to run without really knowing enough information about the game. I don't want to get too high or too low. But I do think we should get some of the basics. So the only thing that I've heard, and I got this directly from What If Racing. He said he read somewhere, because you guys know I'm not on Twitter or Facebook, so I'm always the last to know. But supposedly Ed Martin had tweeted something about local dirt tracks. So I'm in the air about it. If they are adding local dirt tracks and stuff like that, then I do expect that to be one of the first things they announce. I'm always for adding content, right? So if they're gonna add some tracks, dirt tracks, whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. That's always a positive. But it can also come along with a negative as well. And my worry is that they repeat what they did last year. Now, last year was clearly an improvement over the first game, right? And I said they're headed in the right direction. But at the end of the day, the game fell short of feeling like a complete, fully fleshed out game. And they had spent so much time and energy and resources on adding the tracks and the other series that it stopped them from being able to actually flesh out the game, the aspects of the game that were already there, and getting into detail. And I've talked about that in the past, that what's really lacking in these games is the finer details. And they never seem to be able to get to the details, right? And when I say they, it might come across as being a little bit unfair, but I do add Eutechnics in there, because I've been talking about these games since 2012. And we saw Eutechnics, and they went through like 5 straight years of releasing games, and we never really saw anything major in terms of improvement or fleshing the game out. They put out 5 games and with no stats, which is one of the biggest things that I always focused on, because to me it's such a simple thing, and if you can't even grasp the concept of how important such a minor feature is, and I say minor in terms of difficulty of adding it, not in minor that it's not a big deal. It is a big fucking deal. It's a sports game. You gotta have stats. And even though last year they did a last minute, post-release, they threw it in, and it's better than nothing, but it fell way short of where we should be and from what we've had many years ago. So I wanna see them push towards fleshing out what's there, and filling the game up with content, presentation, all of those things that I've talked about. And if all I really hear from them is that they've added dirt tracks, and possibly that, it's possible that might mean that you're going to actually run in lower circuits and work your way up. That's a good idea. But they haven't shown the ability to do a lot of different things in a short period of time. And if that's where their focus is, and they think in their mind this is making the career mode deeper, that's a problem. And that's going to raise a red flag for me. So I want to hear about other things. If they come out and they're like, hey, there's going to be dirt tracks, local dirt tracks, and you're going to come up through the ranks and try to make a name for yourself, that's good. But then I'm worried, because I'm like, that's kind of sending me a signal that they didn't really get into the, making the career mode fleshed out and deeper. They just added more of what they did last year. Really, that's what they did last year. They added 2 series, they added tracks, and I think we can all agree the game still felt bare bones, even with that. So, if anything, that should prove to people that just that alone isn't going to make the game. It's the finer details. And this game desperately needs more I say more, but just anything would be more. But more off-track activities, more. The career mode needs to focus on off-the-track things as well. And that's what's really missing. The type of things we see in other sports games, right? Because it shouldn't be just about showing up and racing and then go to the next race. And that's what this has been so far. All these games. And if I hear that they're really branching out into other things and getting into the race shop and the organization and all the things I've talked about, that's what's going to help flesh out the career mode and getting into the finer details. So, I've had other ideas that I've become convinced that I'm not sure we're ever going to see it. At least not from this developer, or maybe next gen, right? When the next generation of consoles come out, maybe another developer down the line with higher aspirations or more capability, maybe they'll take it on and they'll say, but one of the ideas that I've been always talking about is having that automatic crew chief that guides you through your career, helps you with your setup, and that you're interacting with at all times. And when you go to practice, he's helping you uh, come up with a good race setup, and you learn from that, and you don't have to figure that shit out for yourself, right? Because while it's good that you should be able to do that for yourself, I do think it detracts from the game, and the game should never feel like a chore. You know, at the end of the day, it's a game. You want to experience what it's like to be a driver. Um, this isn't like a crew chief simulator or a car engineer simulator. And even as a seasoned NASCAR fanatic, and I'm also a seasoned car mechanic. All right, I've built my own cars. All right, I lost count of how many cars I've built in my life. I'm talking about old muscle cars. I've taken them completely apart, rebuilt them. I've had a lot of old muscle cars. So I've been working on cars all my life. I'm not dumb when it comes to car mechanics. But even with that knowledge, there are things about the engineering that goes into a race car and the setups. You know, that's tough for me, right? I'm not going to tell you that I'm completely lost, like just somebody off the street who knows nothing about cars. But for me, it's a chore. It's not fun trying to figure out these setups. And at the end of the day, this is a game. You want people to feel an authentic experience. So give us that automatic crew chief. And that's what I'm hoping to see sometime in the future. And, if I was to make my own game, that's something I would focus on. And I want people to just, spend time in practice racing the car. And then talking to your crew chief, and then let them figure out a setup for you. And they can talk to you about it so you can actually learn as you go. But to me, that deepens that makes the career mode deeper and more immersive and more fun. I don't know if a lot of people spend time in practice and working on their setup. I think most people go online, or they just get a setup from a friend. You know, that's not very involved. It creates a disconnect between you as a player and the game. So it would make those aspects of the game more interesting. So that's why that's an idea I've always brought up, because I'm hoping that somewhere along the line a developer takes that idea and runs with it, because I think that would be truly innovative, and it would be something that would truly elevate NASCAR games in general. So, but going back to what I was saying about this game, I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon. Sadly, I'm a realist. So even though I try to push ideas constantly, it is apparent to me that there are just a lot of the things I say and my ideas, they do kind of fall on deaf ears. I don't have the clout really to get the developer's attention. I just don't. I'm a small-time YouTuber, and that's okay. I can accept that. But I'm hoping that bigger YouTubers who do have clout and have a large following, maybe they take my ideas like a runner with a baton. They take that baton and they run with it. And maybe they can get the developer's attention and push these ideas forward. I don't care if I get credit for it. I don't care if people know where it came from. I just want this stuff to end up in a NASCAR game someday, because I promise you, it'll be great if it's done well. So I'm hoping that we hear something new, something fresh, something that gives us hope that the game is going to be deeper and more immersive, and not just adding some local tracks. If they really focus on talking about adding, these dirt tracks and stuff, then to me it's like saying we're just going to give you more of what we did last year, and that isn't going to cut it. So again, I'm not looking for a lot of info coming from the first announcement. So I'm not going to get too high or too low, but I really want to hear something besides like, hey, we're adding some dirt tracks, and there's gonna be you got to work your way up even more and stuff. That's better than nothing, and it is a step in the right direction. But is it the step that this franchise needs? And I don't think it is. I think the things that I've been talking about, that focus on presentation, that focus on immersion and off the track things, that fully rounds and fleshes out your entire career. It's not just you just show up to a race and then you from one race to the next. It's got to be more than that. So these are the things I'm looking to hear when that announcement comes. And when they announce the game, I'm gonna let you guys know what I think. If I see any red flags, as always, I'm gonna tell you. But I'm trying to be as fair as I can. I don't want to get too carried away, and I don't want to get too down. I'm not expecting a shitload of fucking info. But I need more than just, okay, we're adding dirt tracks and whatever. So, I mean, that's what I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing. And let's see what happens. So, I'd like to know what you guys think. And, I hope it's the coming weekend and not the following weekend. So, I mean, that's going to suck to wait an extra week. But I do think it's going to probably be for the All-Star weekend. Thanks to Real Radman, who did, he came in the comment section and he said it was going to be this weekend coming. So, I mean, if I understood correctly. But I thank him anyway for the information. And I'm always grateful to any of these other YouTubers who come in and they keep me up to date or correct me on something. If I'm wrong on something. What's important is that the right information is out there. And like I said, I'm the last to know this stuff. And I'm not on these other social media sites. And it seems like 704 does most of their communications through Twitter and Facebook. Unfortunately for me. And I'm not going to join that stuff just to keep up to date with them. So that's where we are. So let's see what happens, and hopefully on the weekend I'll have something to talk about. So I'll see you guys around, and I look forward to your comments.